Assalamu alaikum. Hello and welcome to the News and Culture Show with me, Laura Conda, and my co-host, Paul Cooper.
Assalamu
So a little bit about the News and Culture Show. We talk about all the latest news from across Luton, arts, culture and events. So you can go out, have some fun in Luton and enjoy yourselves. But yeah, Paul, how are you this week? How are you feeling?
I've had a tough week. I had a really bad exacerbation of my asthma, so I had to get some emergency treatments. I've just taken the last tablets this morning, so it doesn't work immediately, but it has slowly started to kick in. So hopefully, inshallah, next day or two, I'll start breathing a bit better. So,
Inshallah.
Yeah, but we've got more coming up on that. We're going to be speaking to one of our esteemed respiratory consultants from the hospital. So stay tuned, folks.
It's a fantastic interview. And I think if you're worried about breathlessness or you having any symptoms, tightness of chest, and you've been a bit too worried to get a GP appointment, or maybe you haven't been able to, there are going to be there's going to be a day coming up next week where you can go to the L&D and get some testing done without having to wait. So I think it's really great opportunity for anyone out there that's worried about their lung health.
Right.
Speaking of the Luton and Dunstable Hospital,
Red route.
So, what everyone's been worried about Bury Park.
Folks, they've gone out with the paint. They literally started painting the roads.
They haven't just started; it's done. I was at the Luton and Dunstable this morning for a hospital appointment. The red route is complete. So while everyone's been busy worrying about Bury Park and whether that's going to get a red route or not,
since you've seen it, where exactly is the paint?
So it is basically anywhere that there was previously a double yellow line on Lucy Road is now red route. So it's a double red line.
Right. So hang on, I've got to say this. So this means now, legally, if you're bringing your wife or your son or your daughter or your mother to an appointment, this means you can't stop the car for them to get out.
Well,
it's a double, not a single.
The council will argue that there is a drop-off point, but it's in a really obscure place because outside. So if you haven't been to the Luton and Dunstable Hospital recently, they've got the main entrance, which they've just done up with the A&E next to it. And they've got now outside a taxi section where taxis are allowed to drop off, which is right outside the main entrance. However, if you are a normal car that isn't a taxi, you have to park or drop off further or pick up further up the road by the microbiology's bit that most people don't even know is part of the hospital. It's a really tight space.
You mean like 10,000 miles away?
Yeah, it's a really tight space as well. I agree with you. I think this was very sneaky of the council.
People go to the hospital because they're not well.
Yeah, and
the people that you've got to drop off and pick up, they're not well. So they can't walk far enough down to get away from this.
I know. So
I know I've gone on about this a number of times on the show over the last few weeks, and I'm not going to apologise for it, especially here because I don't understand why not. Why can't they put a single red line?
That would make sense. However,
could it be because they want to get money?
They want it. Well.
Because if there's a double, they can fine you. Is that correct?
It is correct. I think even on a single that they probably can fine you as well. But basically, they have kept the pay and display bays.
If there's a double, they can fine you. If it's a single,
I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. I need to check the highway code I don't live in London, so I don't know. This is a relatively new thing for me.
Yeah.
So it feels.
And the other thing is with all these red routes, if they put the doubles in, they can film it. They can put cameras up.
Yeah. But they have kept the pay and display bays, which are down by Ferrers Junior School. But again, that's now got a new, within the same time limits as before, so it's up to 2 hours. There's a 15-minute short stay bays, but I mean, how that gets policed, I don't know. There's going to be disabled bays, and they've now put in bays for police vehicles because there's obviously every time I go to the hospital, there's police vehicles there. Laura,
there was already so many disabled bays there.
I know,
So what does it mean they've put in more disabled bays?
It means that
there were already disabled bays there.
If people are disabled,
there was already.
Yeah, I know.
It says a new bay for police vehicles. There was already a bay there for emergency vehicles. I know because I go there all the time.
I know, same. I was literally there this morning. I didn't even bother trying to park in the multi-story car park, because that's the biggest issue.
Oh, you can't
park in there. There's no bloody parking. Sorry for my words, but there is no parking.
Well, the crazy thing is, when the car park is full, it keeps admitting people.
Yeah, and so it just is a big traffic jam.
So what happens is, you don't know there's no spaces because it admits you. It admits you, and you think there's a space because if it's and you go round and round and round. You go all the way to the top, but there's nothing there, and then you have to come out.
Yeah, but it's not.
Why can't it just not? Because before they built that big car park,
it didn't let you in.
It didn't let you in if there was no spaces.
No, I know. I agree. Are you
listening, Luton and Dunstable Hospital?
I know. No. In all fairness, this is not Luton and Dunstable Hospital's fault. It's the council. The council have been the ones to put it in.
In terms of how the car park works,
the car park is them.
The car park doesn't count
actually
how many cars are parked, and it keeps letting anyone in that arrives.
Can I just point out that it also isn't Luton Borough Council? This is a POCA who own the council, not the council, own the Luton and Dunstable Hospital parking.
But the point is, surely the hospital must know this, because I tell them every time I go there, I can't get out of the car park because I can't
get into the bloody thing.
Yeah, it is an absolute unmitigated disaster.
And I think this is only going to make it worse. I feel sorry for the people that live on the nearby roads, because I feel like they're just going to end up full of cars now, because people will be so worried about dropping people off. I know they'll say,
on a positive, folks.
Yep.
I promise I will be positive when we speak to the doctors at the L&D. They're wonderful.
They are wonderful.
This is administration, and that's what I'm complaining about.
Well, it's the council.
The doctors and the caregivers at the Luton and Dunstable are wonderful. I just want to make that point.
That it is the council as well that have decided to do this, but I feel like it was a very sneaky move, because they did mention that they were going to put a red route at Lewisy Road, but because everyone's worried about Bury Park, worried about the red route in Bury Park, they've prioritised that, and they haven't realised that this has gone under the radar, and now this has happened. It's done. The signs are up. It's not working yet, as far as I'm aware, because the signs are covered. But I think we should move on to our interview, because otherwise we've talked about this already, even not that long, but it's almost too long. But we will bring more on the red route later. So joining us now is Dr. Ramsay, of the respiratory consultant from Luton and Dunstable Hospital. He's here to talk to us all about World COP Day, which is coming up on the 19th of November, and things that you can do at the L&D Hospital to check your lungs, basically. Hi, Dr. Ramsay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction and giving me this opportunity to talk to you and your listeners about COPD.
So, do you want to tell us what COPD is? Because a lot of people probably don't know what it is or how you get it, basically.
Yeah, so COPD stands for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And it's a name that's given to a group of lung conditions that typically affect the lungs and cause breathing difficulties. And it includes emphysema, which is damage to the air sacs in the lungs, but also chronic bronchitis, which is a condition that causes long-term inflammation of the airways. So there's two components to it, emphysema and chronic bronchitis. It's commonly caused and most often caused by smoking, but there are other causes. So not everybody with COPD and diagnosed COPD has been a smoker. So there are some occupational exposures that can lead to COPD. Chronic asthma, which is another airway disease, can lead to COPD. But also there's a rare genetic condition called alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, which can also cause emphysema and COPD. But the commonest is smoking induced.
Yeah, I have COPD related
what
damage from asthma. So yeah.
So what actually happens to our lungs if say we have asthma? Because I have very bad asthma. What actually changes in our lungs to move it on to be chronic obstructive pulmonary disease? What's the change?
So asthma is a condition that affects the airways, and the airways become inflamed.
Yeah.
Now, if you get chronic inflammation of the airways, they can become thickened, which causes airway narrowing. And it's that airway narrowing that causes airflow limitation and obstruction to the gases moving into and out of the lungs, which then causes the obstruction that we see on people's lung function testing. So from a long-term asthma perspective, if you've got chronic inflammation, that could lead to chronic airway thickening and narrowing of those bronchial tubes or airways.
Right, I see. So for someone like, so literally, I'm just finishing my 5-day course of steroids today because I had an exacerbation. So for someone like me, would it be correct to say someone with bad asthma, don't keep leaving it? If you feel poorly, go and get that treatment early.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the right message to be giving people, because we know that if you are not treating that airway inflammation, there is a risk that that can then lead to the chronic airway narrowing that I've just described and the airway remodeling. So we need to be getting on top of the inflammation in the airways of patients with asthma. So if you've got deterioration of your symptoms, anything that would suggest a flare of your asthma, or poorly controlled asthma, like needing your reliever medication frequently, you need to be getting medical advice, because we might need to step up your asthma treatment to get that inflammation under control.
Right, super.
I feel that pain.
Yeah.
I feel that pain so much.
I mean, it's interesting what you're saying, actually, Dr. Ramsay, because what I find typically when I get a flare up, I tend to not get very, very breathless, but I get the awful soreness in my lungs. It's almost like I'm breathing with ground glass literally in my whole chest. That's what happens, and it's, you know, and I have been warned, you know, don't leave it, but it's so easy because it can get so sore so suddenly. But yeah, it's not an easy thing to manage, sadly.
Yeah, and there are many symptoms that patients with airway disease can present with. It's not just breathlessness, but there is chest discomfort and that soreness that you're describing, but also things like cough, breathlessness, tightness in the chest, wheezing. So there's a variety of symptoms that patients with airway pathologies can present with.
Okay.
That was what I was going to ask, actually. My next question: what are the symptoms of COPD? Because I know often people could be walking around with it and not even realize that they're unwell. They just think they're getting old.
Yeah, so as I said, the main symptoms associated with COPD: shortness of breath, cough with or without phlegm, frequent respiratory tract infections, chest pain, chest tightness, or wheeze. They tend to be the commonest. But as you say, you know, many people have these symptoms without realizing they've got underlying COPD. So we would advise anybody, if they do have concerns, to have further diagnostics performed by their GP or local hospital. And that's exactly what we're doing for World COPD Day, offering people that simple test. It's just a simple breathing test called spirometry.
Okay.
It is very simple. Do you want to explain a little bit about what spirometry is? Because unless you've probably are asthmatic, you probably have never done one. So it could be a bit unnerving to hear this breathing test has to be done if you're already feeling breathless.
Yeah, so it is a really simple test to perform. It's done by specialist healthcare professionals who are well trained in making sure that the patient is comfortable through the procedure. We know that it can be technically challenging, and so we often repeat the test just to make sure we're getting really good, accurate results. But the test is a simple blow-in test. So we ask the patient to, when sat comfortably, to take a nice deep breath in and then exhale into a mouthpiece that's connected to the spirometer, initially with force, and then to expire to the point where they feel like their lungs are completely devoid of air. So it's deep breath in, hard, fast blow, keep blowing as hard and as long as they can. And what we're doing in that test is we're measuring two key metrics. The first is FEV1, which is forced expiratory volume, and that's the amount of air that the individual is able to breathe out in 1 second. And then the forced vital capacity is the volume of air that they can blow out in that long blow. And by determining the ratio between those two values, we can then identify whether someone has got an obstructive defect. So that condition where you've got the narrowing and the blocking of the airways.
So if you do these tests and you identify that someone has got COPD, how do you then help them? What's the treatment, doctor?
So there's a variety of treatments. And again, these are very straightforward and simple. So the commonest and first line treatments that we would be using are inhalers. And we've got a number of drugs that we administer through inhalers. So for COPD, we've got a short-acting bronchodilator. So they are drugs which are inhaled into the lungs directly through an inhaler, and they give instant relief by opening the airways up. And there are two main drug classes that we use for short-term relief, and they are the bronchodilators that are beta agonists and the anticholinergics. So we use short-term bronchodilators. We also use long-term bronchodilators. So again, we use inhaled therapies, same classes of drugs as the short-acting, but they have long-acting properties, which mean that they can be administered either once or twice daily. And they cause opening of the airways, and they keep the airways open for either 12 hours or 24 hours. And then the third type of inhaled drug that we use is an inhaled corticosteroid. That's often used in the asthmatics because it reduces that airway inflammation. But we also use in patients with COPD because we know that it can help symptoms, but also it can reduce the likelihood of future infections. And very often we use a combination of all of those three drugs to try and help people with COPD, to reduce their infective exacerbations, so the number of flares that they have, but most importantly, to improve their symptom control. We also use the medications through nebulizers because it's really important that we get the drug to where it needs to work, i.e. within the airways. So we use a variety of devices through inhalers, but also nebulizers to get that really good lung deposition to make sure that those drugs are working as effectively as they possibly can. So that's one of the first line treatments. We also use oral treatments to try and help open the airways. So there's quite an old-fashioned drug called aminophylline or uniphylline that we often use in patients with COPD. We use pulmonary rehabilitation, which are exercise classes, and these are often one of the most effective treatments to help people with COPD to overcome their symptom of breathlessness, but also to improve the quality of life and function so that we can increase their exercise capacity and actually make sure that their social functioning and ability to manage their activities of daily living are improved. And so we use pulmonary rehabilitation really commonly for patients with COPD.
So when can people come, where and when can people come and find you for the open day, Dr. Ramsay?
So they're doing the walk-in, the main reception for the Luton and Dunstable Hospital. It's on the 19th of November. would probably need to check the times.
It's 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. I've been told.
Yeah, so I think you've been liaising with Roseanne Drummond, our respiratory nurse specialist, who's been setting up the event.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that says this. I'm just reading. So you're going to have the respiratory nurses team, physiology team, and also pulmonary rehab staff. What does that mean? Pulmonary rehab. What does that mean, Dr. Ramsay?
So pulmonary rehabilitation is a treatment that we use for patients with COPD. It's a course of education, so it helps people to self-manage their condition, but also exercise classes which help improve the symptoms for patients with COPD. It also helps to improve stamina. So that's what pulmonary rehabilitation is, and it's run by obviously physiologists, physiotherapists, and the respiratory nursing team.
That's fantastic. And if someone came to this event and found out they had COPD, would they be referred to the hospital, or will they be referred back to their GP? What's the process, just in case someone's panicking? They do these tests, find out they've got COPD, and now they're unsure what to do next.
Yeah, so the results would be forwarded to the GP, and then the GP could refer directly into the hospital if they needed specialist advice, because COPD is a relatively common condition, and primary care colleagues, so GPs, are absolutely appropriately skilled to manage this condition. And so, you know, a large proportion of patients with COPD should be managed in a primary care setting. But obviously, for more severe patients or more complex patients, we would absolutely be willing to see them in the hospital setting following an appropriate referral.
All right, that's wonderful. You've educated us so well and told us so much.
Yeah, I was going to say you seem like a real expert, not only in COPD but respiratory medicine. So I really appreciate your time, Dr. Ramsay. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And I think the only other messages that I would want to be putting out quite strongly is, you know, obviously smoking cessation. So people are smoking, we would absolutely recommend smoking cessation, and support services are available. We know that if people are using medication to assist smoking cessation and also receiving support from specialised healthcare professionals, improves the success rate of quitting. There's also vaccination as well. We know that patients with respiratory problems are at high risk or increased risk of developing respiratory tract infections. And, you know, obviously with winter about to start, we know that there's going to be seasonal viruses circulating. So we would absolutely be advocating the benefits of vaccination. So flu vaccination, COVID vaccination, and also for COPD patients, we would recommend the pneumococcal vaccine against pneumonia.
Okay, I was a good boy actually.
I had mine yesterday.
I had my flu yesterday.
So we both had our flu jabs yesterday. We're very good asthmatics. I think if I didn't turn up to my appointment today with my consultant without having had my flu jab, I think he might.
Dr. Ramsay, just quickly while you're here, with all of this, what is the research showing? What are there problems with vaping? I work with children, and vaping is a massive problem with teenagers now. What's the research showing of vaping with all of these diseases?
Yeah, so I mean, it's relatively early days, as you'll be aware. Vaping's a relatively new phenomena. Obviously, we absolutely recognise that it can be really helpful to support people from stopping smoking. So as an aid for smoking cessation, we absolutely recognise that it's got a role to play. We also know that it can cause other conditions with the lungs, so it can cause inflammatory conditions, particularly if the vape is unregulated. Fortunately, in this country, it's very well regulated, which reduces some of the risks. But in terms of long-term benefits, we're still, doing that research.
Right. So I suppose the correct message is, from what you've said, if you're a smoker, switch to vaping, because it's definitely the right thing to do. But if you don't smoke, don't start vaping.
Absolutely.
Right.
Perfect.
Okay.
No, thank you so much, Dr. Ramsay. So this Friday, next Wednesday, 19th of November, it's World COPD Day. You can go to the Luton and Dunstable Hospital in the main reception area. There from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. There will be the team there. You can find out whether you have COPD or not. If you just want to get some stop smoking advice as well, that's available there. Or if you have any other sort of lung concerns, I probably would think it's the time to go and have a chat with people, even if you're just feeling a little bit breathless. It's worth just checking out. But thank you so much, Dr. Ramsay, for your time today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity and for raising the awareness about this really important condition. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless, and thank you for all you do, because I wouldn't be here without the work of you and the GPs keeping my disease under control.
Yeah,
So
we both really appreciate it.
you guys have saved my life a number of times. Thank you.
Thank you for that appreciation. You take care and stay well.
God bless. Thanks, Dr. Ramsay.
We will do, inshallah. Thank you. So that's all for this part of the News and Culture show. But join us after the break with a lovely interview from Karen Perkins, who's the CEO of BLCF, so you can find out all about the amazing work that they do. But until then, assalamu alaikum.
Get Luton prayer and Jamaat times for your local masjid on your phone. Download the Inspire FM app. Available for free on the App Store or Google Play.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the News and Culture show with me, Laura Conda, and my co-host, Paul Cooper.
Assalamu alaikum.
So a little bit about the News and Culture show. We talk about all the latest news from Luton, as well as culture, arts and events. So you can go out, have some fun and do some amazing things in this town. So joining us now is someone extremely special, though she'll probably deny it. We've got Karen Perkins here, who's the CEO of Bedfordshire and Luton Community Foundation, called BLCF. Now, you might not know who they are, but you probably have seen their logo everywhere. So, hello, Karen.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for letting me come and visit you. And thank you for a lovely cup of tea.
So, I was going to say, Brother Tarek made that tea, not us. So, that's the reason why. So start off, let's talk a little about what is BLCF, because a lot of people probably have seen the logo but don't realise what you guys do.
It's really, thank you so much for letting me come. Yeah, BLCF, we're kind of strange organisation. I mean, we're a charity like many, and including the work that you guys do. But I suppose our job really is to help other charities do their jobs better. So the way I see it, we do it in a couple of ways. We support charities to understand how to run better, good governance, manage their finances. And part of that is getting access to funding. So we're a funder, and many of your listeners will know us because they'll see our logo on events around the town, projects in the community, because we provide funding and opportunities for funding. But our job really is to help those voluntary organisations get the money they need to get it into the community where it can have real benefit.
And so what kind of projects do you know any you funded in Luton recently? Can you think of any off the top of your head?
Well, I mean, one we're really proud of, of course, is we've been a supporter of DesiFest for a number of years, and that's been extremely fun, mostly because the team behind it have such amazing values. They understand the community so well, and they just want to grow and grow and grow and make a really brilliant event. And so we were proud to be a supporter and a grant funder for the Battle of the Bands. So that I definitely enjoyed doing that, and I got the opportunity to be a judge on that as well, so a little added benefit there. But we've funded a number of projects, from working with members of the Somali community to working with the local Gurdwara, to working with mental health initiatives with young people, so a whole range of stuff. And it's kind of what we do. We're there to support the community, so we're really keen to get involved in anything where we can.
So where does BLCF, where do you collect your funding from? Who helps you?
Well, that's the trick, isn't it? Because we're a charity, so it's not like some funders you'll hear of in the community. Luton Rising are an amazing funder for the town, and that money is earned through what they do at the airport, and that's the proceeds from the airport, and they give that to the community. So we take that money and we help them get that money into the community. So we're like a conduit through to getting the money where it's needed. Sometimes we earn it because we will go to central government, or we'll go to the NHS or Police Crime Commission team, who are trying to do some good in the community. And our job, I see, is to say, thank you. I know you want to do good in the community, but the community need it in this area, not that area. So we help people with money target it into the right places by making sure they understand where the need is. So, we bid for it, we earn it, we apply for it, and it's all about channeling it through to where it's needed. So
you actually have like a strong positive link with a lot of the charities in the town, so that they sort of see you as a go-to support. Most of the charities know you.
I hope so. And those that don't know us, we really encourage them to contact us. Our website, blcf.org.uk, has lots of details, or contact me. We're there to help. And so we've spent the last 4 or 5 years really trying to kind of raise our profile. And that's not some kind of marketing and PR thing. It's really about saying, we're here to help. If you need help, come and talk to us. We may not always be able to help. We may not have the right pot of money, but if we don't, we will give support and advice, and we'll help charities be ready when the right pot of funding is there, that they can apply and be confident about it.
Super, sounds lovely. So who have you been supporting most recently?
I think one of our biggest programs that has just closed at the moment has been the Luton Citizens Fund. And this has been an initiative we started with Luton Borough Council and their social justice team about, must be 4, I think we're in round 5 of it now.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting because it took over from a program from years ago called Your Say Your Way. And some of your listeners will have heard of that. It's very much about getting funding to a really local level, so the ward level. But what we did with the Citizens Fund was we changed how decisions were made. It went from being a fund that you apply to us for, and a panel makes a decision and gives you an answer. And what we do is we manage those applications, we give support to charities, but then the final decision is made by the community.
Yeah.
So we go and we have these community panels. So that fund is closed at the moment, but those panels will happen in February. We sort them, we organise them, we ask questions, we make sure everything is ready. Then in February, they go into 5 ward level panels. I can't remember all the areas of them. I'm sure I can find.
I think Dallow's one, definitely.
Yeah, there's one in Dallow, definitely.
Stopsley.
They're in different areas.
Yeah.
And it means that local citizens and residents of that area can vote on what they want the money to be spent on. So it's really about giving the power back to the community, because let's face it, they know best what they need.
Right. Okay, super.
So what have you actually got open at the minute?
We've
for
got
Luton?
So many funds. We run quite a few of our funds are open on a regular ongoing basis, and we call these our general funds. So it means they're always they cycle where 3 or 4 times a year they're open for applications. So we have a number of them, and the deadline for these funds is the 12th of January. So plenty of time for people to think, get an application in, or contact us to find out a bit more about them. So one is our Community Trust Fund. The Community Trust Fund is a fund run by the airport operator. These are the people, London Luton Airport, who actually run the day-to-day airport. And that's an absolutely brilliant fund because it really is about project funding. It's really diverse. It's about health. It's about skills. It's about eradicating poverty. It has a really broad message, and people can apply for up to 10 grand for that, which is not a small amount of money that can do some real good. The airport operator also run a fund called the Greener Futures Fund, and that's all about this thing about climate. It's all about educating our school kids, and schools can apply for this through their Parent Teachers Association or governors. And it's about really helping children understand the impact of the environment and biodiversity. So that's a brilliant one. We also have from Luton Rising, who are one of our biggest supporters in Luton. Big up Luton Rising. And they run something called a small grants programme.
Right.
And that's a small pot of money. It's, again, £10,000, but it's there for projects. So if you've got a community project, an initiative you want to do, that's the pot of money. And we also have another one, which is Whitbread. And many of you will know Whitbread as a family. They're very much embedded within Luton. The Whitbread family have been around for a long time in their business, and they really want to do good in the community. And we've got funds there. But what I'd say to anyone listening who is interested in this, don't panic at all those names. Don't be writing them down. You don't need to. If you go to our website, blcf.org.uk, and you contact us through that, we will guide you to the right fund. And I think that's why we're different to some funders. We're not a computer says no organisation. If you come to us and say, we've got this idea for a project, what do we need to do? Where should we apply? We will guide you to the right programme to apply, and we'll help you get ready. That's our USP. That's what we do. Hopefully that's what makes a difference.
And if someone's sitting there thinking, I want to start a CIC, I've been thinking about it, but I don't know where to get funding from, and are they able to come to you if they've not even started it yet and they're in that process and they're thinking about it and they want to go, but I don't know where I get funding from?
Yeah, CICs are really interesting because, of course, they're charitable, but they are also businesses. So as a business, you can earn income from it, you can be an employee of it, but you're delivering not-for-profit charitable activity. So there are certain rules around that. And on our website, again, it shows you what you need to do as a CIC in order to apply for our money, because our money has to be for charitable purpose. The starting point is, yes, we can offer advice on that. But one of our big advice points there will be contact CVS, which is Community Voluntary Services. They're based in Bedford Borough, but they cover the whole of Bedfordshire. And that is what they're experts on. They will help you set up your CIC. They will tell you what you do need to do around your accounts and your governance and everything. But that shouldn't stop anyone from contacting us just to say, to help you connect to them or just to ask some initial questions. Absolutely.
Okay, super. So the CICs, just in case anyone's unfamiliar, what's the CIC? What does that stand for?
It's a
community interest company.
Community interest company.
There's so many acronyms out there.
There is.
At the moment.
Right.
It's hard for community interest company, which basically means you can be a director, you can earn an income from it, you can run. An example might be you might be an arts CIC, and your day job might be hiring out technical equipment or running a commercial theatre, but you can also apply for not-for-profit money to support some of the more charitable stuff you do, such as doing an after-school club with a primary school or something like that. So there are lots of ways you can deliver that. But again, there's information on our website, and CVS are very good at offering advice. So I definitely encourage people to contact them and us.
Okay.
Obviously, you've talked a lot about BLCF, but let's talk a little bit about Karen. Who is Karen? What has Karen done? Because I think you've got such a rich history in Luton, particularly.
Such a weird story, yeah. I mean, this is something we've chatted about before.
Yeah.
So my background is as an archaeologist. Isn't that random? So I started my career as an archaeologist at the British Museum, of all places.
Wow.
But in 2004, I left my work in London and started work in Luton. So I've worked in Luton on and off for 21 years. I worked at the Culture Trust, which is an amazing organisation in terms of arts and culture and history. And it's, relevant for this show as well, because they do a fantastic programme. And I worked for them for almost 19 years, starting at front of house, working my way up through collections and the museum team. So I've got a really interesting kind of arts and culture background. But then 5 years ago, I moved to BLCF because what I recognised was that there is so much great charitable work happening out there, and what the real struggle is to access the support that you need to do the good stuff in the community. And that I could just play a bit of a role in that, breaking down some of the barriers, helping charities just do what they do a little bit better to secure themselves for the future. And I think, having gone through that, my learning from being in the arts and cultural sector is all about how you talk to people, how you engage with people, how you build relationships and partnerships. And I hope I've taken some of that amazing experience of working in the arts sector and brought that to the Community Foundation, and hopefully have begun to build BLCF into a real trusted organisation. And that's what we want to be.
I definitely think it is. I love BLCF. Sorry, I'm going to get emotional about this. It's fantastic.
And we love you.
But yeah, I mean, also, do you want to talk a little bit about the history of BLCF? Because you guys have been around for a very, very long time that people might even not realise.
Absolutely, yeah. We've been around. Next year's our 25th anniversary.
Is it?
Yes, I know. You should know a bit about this. And we are really proud. We've been working with Two Side Studios on a brilliant anniversary project, and Laura's been involved in that. Thank you so much.
No.
It's been amazing pulling together that story of 25 years. We started out with our founder was a guy called Jeffrey Farr, who's still around today. Amazing man who, as a local Luton councillor, realized that something was going on in the community, that we needed to do something. That even then in 2001, when we were formed, there wasn't the money and the resource in the local authority to do what the community needed. So he brought some people together and said, what can we do? Can we be philanthropic? Can we get money? Can we get it out to the community? And it started off with as little as about £5,000 that was given out to groups. And over the years, that has built and built and built. And we've now given, after 24, almost 25 years, as it will be next year, we've given over £40 million out to good causes across the whole of Bedfordshire.
Goodness,
and so that's a lot of money doing a lot of good.
I know.
It's extraordinary.
I've lived in Luton since 1999. I didn't know all this.
No, they've I think people often see the BLCF logo on everything because it's there. A lot of things are funded by BLCF, but they don't realise how much goes on behind the scenes with BLCF. And like through doing this documentary, I've learned how much and how necessary it is as well, because we've interviewed a lot of charities and CICs across Luton, Central Bedfordshire, Bedford, and a lot of them have said without BLCF we would struggle to exist or keep going. So
but it's because of the incredibly generous businesses, private philanthropists and organisations in Bedfordshire that have made that money available. We are merely the conduit. We are merely the ones who help make sure that money gets where it's needed. I always use this really cheesy analogy with my team, and I talk to funders about this, and I say, our job is that if a donor comes to us and says, I've got £1 million to paint all the chairs in Luton blue, our job is to say, thank you very much. Luton's chairs need painting, but the community want green chairs, not blue. So our job is to push back and say, use your money where it's needed, not where it's not needed. And so, if we can play our part in that environment of philanthropy, making sure that money gets there, that's why we're open. That's why we have a very open approach, which is come contact us. What do you need help with? How? We can't always help, and we can't always do everything, but we will try our best. And if we can't help, we will surely try and get the right support to the right people.
So, Karen, if any of the listeners want to find out where you are, where's the best way to contact you? So where are you based and what's your contact details?
So our office is actually at Rest Park in Silsoe. So we're just north of Luton. We have this thing of every about 5 or 6 years.
I haven't visited there. My
come.
wife went to Rest Park in the summer and she said it was such a lovely place.
It is beautiful.
I've never been there. So I know the name straight away.
Well, it's English heritage and it's very fancy.
We're
not in the fancy
My wife was saying how much
it's worth going. It's worth it.
It's beautiful. I mean, we're not in the fancy bit. We're not in English heritage site. I wish we were, but we're in the Rest Park Enterprise estate there. Right. But it's in the centre of our patch, if you like, because we do cover the whole of Bedfordshire, not just Luton. So it's a great place to be located, so people can find us there. But we work hybrid. We're out and about. I try and get out and about into the community as much as possible. I'm doing visits to charities this afternoon because that's what it's about. We can't be faceless. We're a small team, but we don't want to hide behind an office wall and behind a computer. So you can find out and access our details through blcf.org.uk. That will give you all information and contact details for how to make touch. We've got a newsletter on that front page you can sign up for, and you can find out all the news about any of the up and coming funds or any of events that we're doing. But the best thing is when we get out to talk to charities. It's only when you're sat around a table, usually over a cup of tea, you can really understand what that charity is struggling with. And that for me is the best bit.
Yeah, it's true. Tea makes the
tea makes the world go
fix
round.
everything.
It's the rolling of the wheels of the world.
It is. What do you see as the future of BLCF?
I think that's a really interesting question. I think I've noticed over the last 3 or 4 years that demand for our work is increasing. Last year alone, we gave out just under £5 million in a year across Bedfordshire, but we had applications worth £14 million. So £14 million was requested, and we could only fund £5 million. Now, that disappoints me because we haven't got 14 million to give out. But what that says is how much need there is. So in the same way that we've got real success, that we're giving out great funds and we're building this name and everything like that, the need is not diminishing, it is growing. Where we're solving a problem in one area, there's another a problem arising in some other area. So I think the future for BLCF is really a positive one because we are needed. Someone has to do this, and someone has to play that brokering role between businesses and donors and people with the money to get it to people who don't. Because if they don't work through us, we feel that they're going to miss really understanding where the true need is.
Yeah.
And that's our job. Our job is to understand the need. And we don't do that because we're on the ground. We do that because of our relationships. Because
you're trusted and you're known, it's because people know that you're going to do the homework and go and meet the people that are trying to get the help. And then you can say, yeah, we've assessed these people and yeah, they are in need. They've got a good idea.
Absolutely. And that's not about us policing that. That's really about being a champion, being an advocate for the voluntary sector. The real work is being done by our voluntary sector. And there are hundreds of charities in Luton doing extraordinary work. And that's from a small knit and natter group at the back of a church, all the way through to someone like Citizens Advice, a big organisation. There's a whole range, but they're the ones really doing the work. They're the ones that we should be championing. Our job is to listen to them and take that information and go, right, we now have to go and find that money for them, or we need to get this so we can address this problem.
That's what excellent. I mean, I've learned so much I didn't know about this. Definitely, I think Karen's going to have to be a regular to keep us up to. I think it's important that for the community. I mean, like I said, I've lived here since 1999. I mean, I wasn't aware of there being this much charity guidance. So I think it's definitely something we should pick up on and plan it in that we revisit regularly.
I'd be more than happy to come back. We've got so many exciting things coming up next year as well. You know, our anniversary, we're going to have there's going to be a big event in May to celebrate our anniversary, this wonderful video which is really telling the story. And the guys with yourself, Laura, and the guys from Two Sides Studios are really looking at us and doing exactly what you described, which is tell our story. We're not very good at telling our story sometimes because we're so in the moment, doing the work, getting the grant funding out there, working with people. We forget to look up and kind of champion ourselves. So this is our chance to kind of blow our own trumpet a little bit. But later on in the year, we're going to have hopefully a new strategy coming out, which I know sounds very dull, but strategies are all terribly dull. But what it will do is it will tell people what direction we're going in, what the future looks like for us. And for the voluntary sector, we'll be having a moment next November where we'll be basically having a massive party. And that's a thank you party to the voluntary sector for everything they do, because they're the real heroes.
I think because we were both at the Luton Community Awards, that Bedfordshire and Luton Community Awards
you went on
Friday, and just to see a small snippet of how many people at Luton are doing wonderful things, and these have been handpicked from probably hundreds of applications, because you were on the board. You were on the judging panel for that.
The most difficult job to do each year is look at all those applicants for the awards, because you know I'm a bit of a softie. I will give them all a certificate. I wept quite a lot in that event. I always do. I cry.
It is to see how many people are like involved in just even little projects in Luton, let alone these big things that are going on as well. And we're very lucky that we have the airport and Luton Rising, because I hope they don't mind us saying it, they are your biggest funder.
Absolutely.
By far. And without them, I think you would struggle to put on a lot of put out a lot of the funding that you do in Luton.
Absolutely. It's a huge amount that they do, and we are really proud to be a partner with them. And I think that you know, when you're working with an airport that is so philanthropic, it is a community airport. It's the only one in the country. And I'll get these figures wrong, and lovely Chris Hall from Luton Rising will tell me off. But I think if you think that Heathrow Airport, about 2% of their proceeds go into charitable giving. for Luton Airport, it's over 50%.
I think you are right in those figures.
And it's not far off
Sorry,
that, correct.
you mean 50% of the profits
of
they
the
make?
proceeds from the passenger revenue from Luton Rising go into
back
charitable
into
giving.
which
Back
is
into the community. That's massive. When you compare that Heathrow, it's 2%. So apologies to Chris Hall if you hear this and I've got those numbers slightly wrong, but it is that stark.
Well played, Luton Airport. I had no idea.
People don't realise
these are the sort of things we need to let the public
We
know.
need to know. We need to know. And, you know, it's always going to be controversial when you're working with an airport because they've got, you know, really strong green message and that. But my view is when you've got people like Luton Rising, but also let's not forget the airport operator, London Luton Airport Limited, who deliver the day-to-day work, they are also giving a significant amount of money, around $250,000 a year they're giving out to Luton and its immediate surrounding areas. And they are so passionate about supporting the community. And I love what they're doing. And when you've got that, it is controversial. Airport and airport expansion is controversial. But I see it as an opportunity not only get, as we grow those businesses, to get more money and opportunities and jobs into the town, brilliant, but the other thing is they are open to that challenge back. So when they say they're going to be green, we'll hold them to account for that. We'll say, put your money where your mouth is, you know, and that's what we want to do. And I think they're open to that challenge and they want to work in the community. So we should be, there's nowhere else like Luton that is doing the kind of work for its community than anywhere. And I work across the whole of the UK with other foundations. No one else is doing the work that we're doing here in Luton.
Do you think that makes BLCF a little bit special? I know you're a bit biased.
Of course, I think we're special. I think what makes us special when you consider some other kind of funders and funding partners is it is the relationship we build with our voluntary sector, or I hope we build. It's something that sits really in my heart, without getting too soppy, but you know, it's about the values you have, and everyone who works for BLCF has such strong values and ethics around what they do, and that can be challenging sometimes, because sometimes we really have to work very hard to help organizations meet what we require, but it's to their good, because by helping them get their governance right, make sure their finances are properly managed, that will help them be sustained for long term. What we don't do, like I say, is say, you've applied, no, you can't have any, and we leave them hanging. We always follow up on any application. We always say, okay, this didn't work because of this. Let me give you some advice.
So they know, where
so
to
next time is better.
So they're sort of guided 100%. On how to make their next steps better for the future.
Exactly. That's what we're trying to do.
BLCF are a fantastic organisation.
You're
Sorry, I know.
She's a convert.
I'm a convert. But yeah, thank you so much, Karen, for taking the time, because I know you're extremely busy, because I think people don't see it enough that you are out in the community almost every day, meeting all these different charities and CICs to help them and support them in the best way possible. So thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy day and schedule.
Anytime, and thank you very much for letting me come.
It was a real pleasure meeting you. I'm so glad you came.
Thank
Lovely
you.
to meet you, Karen. God bless.
So that's all for the News and Culture Show this week, but join us next week for all the latest news from across Luton, arts, events and culture, so you can go out and get involved. But until next week, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.